Hello everyone, welcome once again to my channel. In the last video, I explained what SPSS is and why researchers use SPSS in their research. In the last video, I explained to you that SPSS is statistical package for social sciences, in other words, statistical product for service solution. In this video, I'm going to take you through the interface of SPSS. So just follow me and then we do it together. And then please, if you don't have SPSS installed on your laptop, kindly contact your university, because I understand most universities have institutional licenses for SPSS. So when you contact them, they can help you install the SPSS with no extra cost. I personally had my own from my university. So now in the SPSS, we were talking about statistics, like statistical package, statistical product, everything boils down to statistics. Now, when we are dealing with this thing, we have to work in statistics too. We deal with data. So in SPSS, when you open SPSS, you cannot do anything without data. Now we have empty interface. We don't have data here. How do we get data into this interface? We have two main ways. The first is to enter the data directly. That is when we have few data. If the information is small, then we enter it directly. But if we have more data set, maybe we import it elsewhere, because we may not be able to enter it. So now how do we enter data into the SPSS? To enter the data, we have two main things to consider. We have to consider the variable and then the data. Now, why is variable and data being very important? You cannot just come and be entering data in SPSS that way. So let's know what a variable is and what data is. In statistics, we say variables are characteristics that assumed different responses. So that means the variables take responses from data. That responses is what we refer to as data. So data are the facts that we feed into the variable. For example, if we have gender is a variable. It is not data. But when we start giving information to putting information into the gender, maybe what is your gender? I am a male. That male there is a data, so we feed it into the gender. This person is a female, male, male, female. So the information that we store is what we call that. The actual information we derive from the people is what is referred to as data. And where the data is being kept is what we call variable. Think of it this way. You want to go for interview tomorrow. You have to prepare yourself, get some water stored so that the following morning you can bath early and go. Now, what do you use to store the water? Do you just put the water on your bed? No. So what you have to do is maybe you get a bucket to fetch the water and store it. Now the bucket there is what we call a variable. And the water that is contained in the bucket is what we call the data. So now when you want to enter data into the SPSS, you have to first of all create a variable. So if you want to get water, you have to first of all get the buckets. Otherwise, you can't fetch the water. So for that matter, you have to come here to the variable view. Then give the name of the variable, assuming our variable is age. So maybe our first bucket is age. So what information are we storing in this age? Now, when you come to statistics, we have two types of data. We said the actual information is what we refer to as data. And then we have two forms of data. We have qualitative data and quantitative data. The qualitative data is the data set which is not in the form of a number. In other words, we call it non-numeric data. That is information which responses are not in the form of a number. For example, if I ask, which country are you coming from? You mentioned Ghana, Nigeria, you will not mention maybe 33. It doesn't make sense there. If I ask, which color do you prefer most? Black, yellow. Very good. So this information are what we call qualitative data or qualitative information. But when I ask, how many siblings do you have in your house? Maybe I have 30 siblings, 2 siblings. So these responses are coming in the form of numbers. And since it is in the form of a number, it is called quantitative data. So age is a quantitative data. If I ask, what is your age now? You will say maybe 12 years old. So in that case, we come here to check the measures. So if the data is taken quantitative, we leave it on in scale, whether it is taking the decimals or discrete. When we say decimals, that means maybe 35.3. The one that comes after the point is what we call the decimal. Or even if it doesn't take decimal, you have to leave it as scale. And then the qualitative data, that side, assuming we have our gender. So with the gender, we have gender as male or female. So we either use this or that. So between this and that, these two are all used for qualitative data. So which one do you choose? There is a rule behind them. If the order of categories, the categories in gender includes male and then female. So if there is no order of priority in these categories, that means we have to choose nominal. But if there is order of priority or order of importance in these categories, the categories include male and female. So if there is no order of importance in them, then we choose nominal. But if there is order of importance in them, if it is generally accepted that males are ranked higher than females, then we use ordinal. So on this case, on this note, we notice that gender is nominal because there is no order of priority or order of importance. And then let's see another, let me put color. So color 2, being red, yellow, green, there is no general rule that this particular color is better than the other, and for that matter we choose nominal. But in this case, let's also consider qualification. Now when we come here, the qualification, we can consider bachelor degree, diploma, masters, and then PhD. Everyone can testify that there is a general rule that anyone with holding masters is higher than anyone holding PhD. Holding bachelor. And then the one with the PhD is ranked higher than the one with the masters. So there is order of importance in this category. So for that matter, we use ordinal, as the name suggests, order. So ordinal is from the word order. So now we have just created our variables. So that means, let me see, we created our containers. So now let's see, we want to enter our ages, maybe 34, 21, 20, sorry. So we come to gender. So now SPSS, when we have the scale, the one that accepts number or the quantitative data, we don't code it. But these ones, we can be entering maybe male, you see. So now you come here and then we come to the value column. Under the variable view, we come to the value column and then just trace age to that particular cell. So we have, you can now say, gender. We can now say 1 refer to male. Then you either use add or enter, and then 2 for female. We use add or enter. Then we come here, it is nominal, we've already defined it, and then we leave it in no decimal place. Then color too, we come and define it. Maybe 1 is white, 2 is green, 3 is yellow. Sorry, I did not spell my yellow well. Yellow, so I change it. 4 is black. Assuming I'm working with only these 4 colors, then I say okay, that means I've exhausted my categories. Then we come to the qualification. So the qualification, assuming I'm working with diploma, bachelor degree, master's, and then PhD. Let me start with the lowest by coding it 1. So diploma is considered as 1. So whenever SPSS see 1, you should consider it as diploma. So we add 2, bachelor's degree, 3, master's degree, 4, PhD. And then we say okay. So now we have entered our, when we come, let's see, we already defined 1 as male, 2 as female in the gender column. So let's enter them and see. Means gender, and then we come the color. I have forgotten how we define them, but in any way SPSS will show us. So qualification, diploma as 1, bachelor 2, diploma, master's, PhD, bachelor. So now if we want to know whether this definition actually reflects, we come here. This thing that we see here is called value labels. So where we have the A and 1. So we click on it, we can see. So now I hope you understand how we get our variables and then how we get our data when we are entering it directly. This particular area is what we work with. Now, in another way, we can also call the data from other areas. We can have the data put in our SPSS, not just entering it directly, but importing it from elsewhere. For that matter, we come to File, we open Data. So when we come here, this is where you look for where you have your data. So now I have my data on the desktop. So by default, SPSS will give you the file type as SPSS because you are working with it directly. So it will give you its own type. But if you are working with Excel, maybe you come here and then change. If you are working with CSV, you come and then change. In my case, I'm working with SPSS, so I choose the default one that it has given. So now with that, I can see my SPSS files that I have worked with already. So you just click on it, the name will appear here. You choose open, and here is our displayed data. Now this data, you can see it is more than the other one that we had already. So maybe I want to enter this particular data. How many variables do I have? I have about 28. Sorry, I have 28 variables, but let me open the first one. We have only 4 variables. So this one is easy to enter directly, but the other one is more. So sometimes we also work on more data than this. So for that matter, you have to also learn how to import the data. So this same format, you can also use it to import from Excel like I showed you earlier. So now when you have the data here in the analysis part, these areas are very important: the data, transform, analyze, and then the graph. In the previous video, I explained to you that whenever we run analysis, we produce the output in two formats, either in tabular form or in graphical form. So the graphical form, we can just come here, we have a lot of graphs. So I will explain them to you later. This particular side, maybe I have this particular data and then I still have some other variables that I will need to add. Currently, I'm having 28 variables here. Maybe I have other variables that I will need to add from elsewhere. So I can come to the data, merge files, then I choose add variables. Then you look for an external SPSS data file. So if it is from SPSS, then when you click, you just browse here. Maybe I want to add information from this private to my cyber. Then I just open, and now the private has appeared here. I choose. Now you could see that instead of the 28 variables earlier, we now have 63. So that means more variables have been added. So now you see, like I have plenty of variables here. That is basically, or if we want to add more data, we can still come to the data, merge, and for that matter, we choose cases, and then we work with it. So along the process, I will explain more about this to you. And then the transform here, that is when you want to change the nature of the data, like you want to change it in a different format. So we come to the transform. So either you want to compare means, like can I get something similar to explain? Okay, now assuming I want to compare this particular section to that section in a single way. So let me say if these are numbers, so I would like to extract maybe the mean of it. Along the process, I will show you. I will get actual data. These ones are qualitative data. So you can't get mean out of this. But let me show you, let me use this one to show you. I think I've seen some. Similar data here. Okay, let me create some and then show you right now. Maybe let me say weights. I come to the variable view and then create another variable and call it weights. So we have now the weight has been created. So 57, 29, 77, so I can come to the transform here. Now maybe I want to change the format of this thing. So I can come here, recode into different variables. I'm just going to change something about it. So I select the weight, I put it here, and then let me say weight group. Then after that, just click change, and then it will move to that one. So now we come to the old and the new values here, assuming those that are lower than, let me say those that are lighter are those with their weight lower than, let me say 50, and those that are heavier, so let me divide them into two groups. So let me come to the range. I want to use range, so 0 through to 50. So I choose 1, and then I add it here, and then we have 51 through to, let me say 200. Then I call it 2, or we call it 2. So now I just put them in only two categories. Then we continue. Then we say okay, when you come here, this same thing, whenever SPSS, because I ended it at 200, so SPSS did not include this one. So let's say let me leave it that way. So now this one, SPSS has seen it as higher than 50, so it has considered it as 2. This one is from 1 to 50, so SPSS has called it 1. So any of them that is more than 50, SPSS will classify it as 2, and those that are less than 50, so except this one that I did not include. Maybe if I come here, let me just correct that one, that side, so it's into different variables. So let me change this one and say to 300, so that it will capture it well. Yes. So you change it, and then we continue. So now SPSS has considered this one too. So now I can come here and then call this one, since I want to put it as lighter, and then so 1 is light, and then 2 is heavy. That means I have, so when we come here, this person is heavy, this person is light. So that is basically how we do to the transform. So we now, this transform side, we just change the data set into a different format such that it will fit our objectives. So later I will explain more about it to you. And then this is where the actual analysis takes place. So this one, I'll be taking it one after the other. And then this is also where you can create your graphs. I hope this video makes sense. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and then subscribe. Turn on your notifications so that you will not miss the future videos. In our next video, I am going to explain to you what descriptive statistics is, where and how we report it, and that is the most important thing. Till then, bye for now.